Well, hello everyone. Happy Halloween. Okay, a little early, but nonetheless, always time to make Halloween cards. I just want to give sort of a heads up that I'm not normally off on Saturdays, so I have kind of thrown the household into a bit of a disarray by messing with their Saturday routines. So anyway, if you hear a bunch of noise, just ignore it. So, all right. So, hey, it's Linda Anderson here, Linda Lou Creates, and thank you for joining me for my cute Halloween card making event. Just wanted to just to have some fun with it. So anyway, sure am hoping that everything is in the shot and that I'm upright. Just a heads up, I am not very good with looking at comments, so bear with me on that, okay? I will do my best, but it doesn't always happen. So anyway, so good to see you guys. These are the cards that we're making. I am using the bundle, the Cutest Halloween stamp set, and the, let me flip this around, Halloween Punch. Now, I know the Halloween Punch is on back order, but I'll tell you what, these images are not bad for fussy cutting. So, and you know I'm not much of a fussy cutter, so we're good with that. So I will be using the punch in the video, and that's part of the tutorial that I have. So yeah, don't be thrown by the fact that it's out on back order right now. I also am using the adorable, you know me in my designer series paper. It's the cute Halloween paper and the cute star sequins. All right. A couple other varieties of things, but I want to just kind of give another heads up. Feel free to use whatever you have. You don't have to make Halloween cards. I know a lot of people prefer not to use them. That works. That definitely works for me for today. So let's get started. This is the one I want to start with here. So let me see if I can find the supplies that I need. I actually did kind of clean up my stamp space, but you know, it still gets messy. Okay, so here we go. Pumpkin pie is my card base. I love top folding cards, but again, you don't have to do this. So that means it's 11 by 4 1/4. I've scored it at 5 1/2. Now, I'll show you the insides of my cards. I'm not gonna really kind of go over that. I just insert a piece of the 5 1/4 by 4 inch white. If I have any leftover little strips of the DSP, I will go ahead and put that in as well. But, you know, and then stamp. You do what you want to do on the inside. I'll share it with you, but not really go over it too much. All right. So also I have a piece of that DSP. This is 4 by 5 1/4. I also have another piece of it, and this is 2 5/8 by 2 5/8. It's going to be what I will put behind this black piece. The basic black measures 3, 4 1/4. If you are missing any of these measurements, please don't worry about it. Like I said, I have a tutorial that I will post after the event is over here. So, all right. So let me just, while I have it, I'm going to go ahead and adhere this down. This piece, like I said, that is the basic black, that's 3 by 4 1/4. I punched out, or rather die cut out a circle that's 2 1/8 inches wide here. Do whatever you have. You know, if you have punches, dies, whatever size of circle that you want there. So let me go ahead and find my glue. There we go. So I prefer putting the adhesive onto my black. That way I know that I'm not going to have glue showing up on my pattern paper. Now on the sample, I have the stripes going across. I think this time, just to mess with you, I'm going to have the stripes go up and down. So let me just make sure I have it here. All right, so there we go. I'm gonna give that a moment. Okay, the other pieces I have, let me show you. I have cut out of the paper. Let me just see if I can find it real quick. The ghost has a sheet all of its own. Look at all those adorable ghosts. I did, like I say, punch out. So let me show you a little trick that I have. If you want to save any of these other ghosts or the house or anything, and you're like, oh, let me just cut around this so I'm not wasting anything. But then, how do I get this into my punch? Well, so here's the punch. And for me to go in here, I don't have anything to hold on to it. So, create a little handle. I just have just a strip of cardstock, and I just put a little adhesive on it here. If you want to even just sort of tap it on your shirt or your fingers just to get some of the tack off of it. Adhere that, and now I've created a little handle so that all I need to do is slip this in here and punch. So there's my cute little ghost. Now, for this one, I might have a little bit of that handle. Yeah, I do, on the back. And, you know, pull it off if you want, leave it on, whatever. But that's how I handle little images like that in order to be able to still punch them and have space for it. So, also, the cat and the pumpkin, they are out of another sheet. I should have been a little more prepared, I guess. Now, this is the sheet in which I cut out and got the pumpkin and the cat to be able to punch that out. So, punch away. You'll have all these adorable, cute little critters then to put on your Halloween cards. So, I did get one of each. You'll notice that I have dimensionals on the cat and the ghost. I do not on the pumpkin. So, I'm going to kind of switch it up a little bit here and get my act together, it seems. All right, so I'll come back to some of these things. Let me go ahead. Isn't that awesome too? I love that paper. One of the cards we're going to be making is also using that paper because I love it so much. So 5 1/4 by 4, this piece of DSP. Let's adhere it down to the card base. Okay. I'm usually a layering. I love my layers, but believe it or not, I am just putting it straight down to the card base. Now from here, I'm going to go ahead and adhere straight down my black piece. This is the one that's 3 by 4 1/4 with that piece of DSP behind the circle. Okay, so let's go ahead and put that down. This could be popped up. Nothing says you can't do that. I just wanted to leave them fairly flat. Just one layer of popping up, believe it or not. So, all right, so here we go. I felt like I was making, I had an idea of a wreath, I guess, and that's why I did the circle, and I wanted to then put my little critters kind of going around it. But just in a couple spots. So I'm going to adhere straight down the pumpkin, but then have popped up the cat and the ghost. All right, so let's go ahead and get these put down. Sometimes when I make arrangements, so to speak, like this, I will snap a picture of it on my phone so that I know the way I had it arranged. Because, you know, you fuss with it and everything, and I'm just like, how did I have that done? So I like to make sure that I have it just the way I want, snap a picture, and then I'm good to go. So, all right, let's get the cat on. Yes, all of my dimensionals. Don't ever be surprised by seeing all the dimensionals that I use. All right, and then I've got my ghost. So good morning, everybody. Why don't you let me know where you're from in the comments. I am kind of reading them. Sorry, I know like I said, I'm really bad at that. So, all right, my strip of white here. It is 3/4 wide. I very often just cut it long and then adjust it as I need. This finished strip ends up being 3.5 inches long. And this is obviously the sentiment, and I am just going to plop it right here across the bottom of the black. That's why that space is somewhat empty. So, believe it or not, I'm going to just adhere this one down too. And the reason being is I am putting on the bow, and I didn't want to add any additional bulk then with that. So I have it flat against this side of the black, and then nice and crooked, as you can see. So there we go. All right, my Hey Boo, it is done in the pumpkin pie ink. All right, so from here, like I said, the bow, it is using, let me bring in a piece of it. I know it's hard to see, but I adore this metallic mesh ribbon. It is great flat, it is great all crumpled up, and it is even better when you tie a bow with it. So it will see how that, I mean, that was fairly wide, and I was able to make a tiny bow with it. Now, the other thing that I like to do with this ribbon is rip it. It just gives it lots of fun, spooky texture. So when I make a bow, I do have my tails that I like to rip. So make them as long as you want. So I just get this ribbon and I just pull it. And as you pull it, the fibers rip. It kind of curls a little bit, gets a little wonky looking, and I love that look. So I'm just tearing and tearing some more. Thank you about my nail color. Yes, I think I mentioned it once before that I was going for purple, and as you know, I am not a purple fan, so that was kind of like, you're doing what color? So yeah, I thought it would be fun. I'm like, either purple or black for this event. So all right, let me pull in my cute star sequins, my Picket tool, and let's put some right down here. All right, so a couple of these stars. Again, I love these because they are nice and flat. I'm gonna put these in here before I put in my bow. That way I know I have room. Now get a glue dot, and I'm just going to use 2 glue dots here just to make sure that it adheres. All right. Let's plop that down. And there we go. One card is done. Now, if you wanted to do Christmas with this, obviously use Christmas paper. These could be little ornaments or stars. If you needed everyday cards, again, you know, you could use floral paper, add some little flowers. Fall, make these leaves instead, and then do your papers accordingly. You don't even need to use paper. You could emboss this layer. Lots of ideas for this card. All right, so card number 1 is done. Let's keep moving on here. Card number 2. like I said, as you know, I love pattern paper. And this time I wanted to make the paper be the one that is the image, the focal point for this. So let me pull out the paper right here. That is the paper that I used. I guess you can see exactly which one's here. Let me get you at least a full sheet of paper. So here it is. So here it is. You have all of these skulls in which to, or skeletons in which to pick from. I decided to just go with the ones that already had the bird on because I wanted to then kind of bring out, I know, the purple that's in there. That's the Highland Heather. So this is what I used. And I just cut out using my dies. You can use punches. Don't never fear on that. So this one is 1 7/8. This is what I use, the layering circled dies. So this is 1 7/8. The coordinating scallop then is just a little bit bigger than that. And like I said, that is Highland Heather. So these two will go together. Okay. Then also, you know what? I like having this over here. And I'll get my act together probably by the 4th card. So I have a basic black this time, card base. All right, my top folding. Here's my insides, the trick or treat. And then I created this, when have you ever said that a skeleton is cute? But anyway, he is. So again, using that cutest Halloween stamp set, you can really create some adorable images. So I have a piece of pumpkin pie. Believe it or not, this one is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. I just went just an 1/8 of an inch smaller than what it's going to be on my card base. I love the thin margins there, the panel underneath. So I do that a lot. So I kind of wanted to stay consistent on this card with just that real skinny border around. Again, if you prefer then a different border amount, feel free. Okay. So next up, I have again a piece of the Designer Series paper, and this one measures 4 3/8 by 3 1/8. All right, so 4 3/8, 3 1/8. That means then that the black is just an 1/8 of an inch bigger. So that's 4 1/2 by 3 1/4. Okay, so let me go ahead and adhere this down. I like these polka dots because you kind of get a whole variety of colors in it that you can make and draw out using your cardstock layers. Okay, so again, that skinny little border. So let me go ahead now and adhere this down. So once you kind of get all the measurements and the pieces cut and what have you, you can create a multitude of cards any way you want. Okay, let me just get I have a couple little feathers here along the edge. I'll work on that later. Okay, again, like I said, I wanted to pull out all the colors then that's in this paper pack. So I'm using this strip. It's just the opposite side. And this one measures 4 1/8 by 1 1/8. All right, so 4 1/8, 1 1/8. That means this is just an 1/8 of an inch wider. So it's still 4 1/8, but instead then it is 1 1/4 inches wide. And this is Granny Apple Green. I just wanted to pull out, like I said, the colors that are in here. So I went with the green. Let's go ahead and adhere this down. So sometimes I like to just throw in like a little piece like this just to get some additional color into my cards. All right, so here we go. Now, this is going to go down kind of across the upper, I don't know, third of the card. Kind of break it down. You could certainly put it down in the lower third as well. But for some reason, I like it in the upper. All right. So because it's 4 1/8, it is going to be straight across the pumpkin pie that's underneath. All right. And then this will go right on top. But before I do that, let me adhere it. And again, I only have one section, I guess I should say, popped up, and that is this circle and the sentiment. So I'm going to go ahead, get a glue dot here and to put my sentiment. Sorry, I keep going out of range. And let's go ahead. I do like to just kind of set it down, and then I can set my circle. There we go. So now Mr. Skeleton is saying, "Hey, boo," here. So I think he's the one that's getting booed. So let me get some of the dimensionals on then. So remember, I love my dimensionals. So never be surprised if you see me putting a boatload on. So, all right. So there we go. And like I said, I'm just trying to keep it not super thick with extra layers of dimensionals. So here we go. This will be it. And let me slide this here. And there we go. I did not put any, but I could put some of the sequins on. I did not put it on the sample card. Huh. So let's give it a go and see. All right. Here we go. Let's put some. I'm just going to use the pumpkin ones, color ones. And just put them right down here. So there we go. The one with the sequins or the one without. I feel like they get lost here. So we'll see. I might add a couple extra or take them off. Who knows? Sometimes I just have to look at it a couple times to figure that out. So, all right. Card number 2 is done. Now, let me set that one aside. The third card, here's where I'm using those, the houses. I really like those. This is Old Olive, is the color here. So usually I think of more of a brighter green for my Halloween cards, but I just love this Old Olive with it. So, all right, let me put that aside and bring out then the cards I've got. All right, Old Olive, top folding. Again, 11 by 4 1/4. Now, this time, I know I did say I wasn't going to focus too much on the insides of the cards, but apparently I had changed my mind when I was making up and cutting everything. So I have a piece of the white 5 1/4 by 4. I also have a piece of the boo paper, just a strip. That this is what I like to do with my little pieces that I cut out, and I have these little strips left over. I like to put them on the inside of the card. So there we go. And then I like the Fabulous Halloween with the boo paper. So, all right, let's go ahead and get this put down. So I like to do that with the insides of my cards. I like to stamp anything that's in the stamp set to just kind of coordinate it all. I know envelopes are also available for stamping, or to put some of the DSP, your pattern papers then, on the envelope flap too. So keep that in mind if you want to really coordinate it and make it fun for the people you're sending it to. Okay, so my insides are done. Here we go. Let's get going on all of the supplies then. So I have a piece of white cardstock, 5 1/4 by 4. I have a piece of the Boo DSP, and it is just 1/8 of an inch smaller. So that means it's 5 1/8, 3 7/8. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere these together. I would love it. I know I'm going kind of fast, and I apologize for that. If you are making cards along with me, that's why I kind of had given some of the measurements of the cardstock ahead of time so that you could have that part already done. So, but I would love for you to post pictures right here with whatever it is you make, whether you use the same stamp set making your Halloween cards or you pull out whatever you have. So it's always fun to see what others are making. So, all right, I wanted to bring in that metallic mesh ribbon. So this time I have a piece, this was actually like the tail end of a roll, and it's about 12 inches long. So I just fold it in half. I do find I like it better when it's folded in half if I'm just going to lay it across. I find that just a single layer of it really does get lost for me. I like the double layer of it. So yeah, if you want to pull on it here to break some of these, feel free to do that. You can pull, get it all messy, even when it's just being across the card, sort of in the background. Don't be afraid to mess with this ribbon because that's what makes it so cool. So I have it in half, and I'm just going to put it kind of in the half of the card, or the middle of the card. Now this is what I like to do then is I will fold it over on the one side. I have double stick tape here at my desk all the time, and this is what I like to use to hold my ribbons down. So I have that down one side, and I can now kind of pull and tighten up the other side. I have that good to go, and now let me just get another piece of tape. Now, if I have lots of it that is extending out over, I don't hesitate to then cut and trim this down. Okay, that way I feel like it's not going to add any additional bulk to the back of my card. So like here where I had folded it, I could easily have just cut 2 pieces. I'm just going to cut that away because I feel like that fold might add some bulk. All right, so that's what I do on the back for my ribbons. I like to make sure they're nice and tight to begin with, and then I cut off any excess that kind of is in the middle here. All right, so let's get this adhered down to our card base. Now, because I'm using the double stick tape, then boom, I've got my adhesive right there with the ribbon when I adhere it down to the card base or whatever I'm adhering it to. Okay, next up, let me get, there we go. So I have a piece of, again, the DSP. Now this one measures 3 1/2 by 2 1/2. Now my piece of white then is a little bit bigger than that. So we're talking then that it is 3 5/8. Let me go this direction. 3 5/8 by 2 5/8. Now I'm going to adhere these together and then adhere it straight down to the card. All right, no popping up. Like I said, because I am popping up my image, my focal image, and I just my goal was to only do one layer of popping up of dimension. So, but this can certainly be popped up. All right, so let me just, there we go, and let's get this down. Okay, and then right down to the middle of the card. I mean, isn't that I love that right there. But what makes it even cuter is that ghost that I punched out earlier, bringing him back in. And this is what I'm going to use for my focal image. All right, so my strips here are 1/2 inch wide. All right, like I said, I often like to just cut a 1/2 inch strip. I don't really am concerned with the length of it, as long as I have it the width to fit my sentiment. Now also I like to banner cut the end, either by cutting it or, hang on, let me grab it, I've got it here somewhere, or I will use the banner's pick a punch, and it goes, you know, 1/2 inch, 3/4, and 1 inch. So that's why very often a lot of my strips will be that width, so I can use the punch with it. So once I have it, the banner end done, then I can worry about the length of it and cutting it down to size then. So hope that made sense. So I have, same thing, 1/2 inch wide is this piece of Highland Heather. Just wanted to bring in another little color in there. And I am just going to adhere this now behind the ghost. So let me get real quick a glue dot. And I'm going to, just however I want to have them offset. Yes, I did on purpose make my sentiment strip a little bit longer. Just wanted to make sure it didn't look like it was too even. And now I'll be able to adhere this to the back of the cute ghost. So let's go ahead and put another glue dot. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 of them just to make sure I have it. Okay. So now sometimes I just like to put it on the card, see which way I want it to go. That looks good. Boom. All right, now let's add some dimensionals to this guy. The other thing about the 1/2 inch wide strips, you can still use the standard Stampin' Dimensionals. You don't need to get the minis for that. So keep that in mind as well. And of course I need more. Just those few are never enough. So, yep, she's still putting them on. And then sometimes I like to add them where things overlap, so I just have an extra hold to everything. So, excuse me. So, what does everybody else have going on the rest of today? I work, my job is I am a martial arts instructor, and today was a tournament going on, and I opted not to attend the tournament, so that we closed because the majority of the instructors except for me, are going to be at the tournament. So I was like, sweet, I get a day off, and I'm like, I want to do something with you guys. So of course it had to be stamping, right? So anyway, there it is. I just adhered it down again, moving it down that lower third of the card. So let's go ahead, and this time I'm just going to pop on just one of my stars. Right there. And that's it. All right. Card number 3. Done. Okay. So anyway, yeah, like I said, I was really having a blast knowing that I was going to be off, and I actually have 3 days off because I'm always off on Fridays. We're closed. We're closed on Sundays as well. So this was exciting for me to then have Saturday off too. So, all right, the next and last card. It's a Z-fold card. You know, I really like my fun fold cards, so I thought I would create a Z-fold. It's super simple. Let me just show you the supplies you will need here. I have, hang on, a couple strips that I want to show you some different things. So let's go with the card base. So this is basic black. It's 8.5 by 5.5. Now, you know that then to score it in the middle, we're talking 4 1/4. So that's the score line. So I will then also, while it is still in my scoring tool, then I score it at 2 1/8, which is this line right here. So I have 2 1/8, 4 1/4. And the fun fold factor of it. Wow, that was tough. I like to just go ahead and fold it first in half this way. And then I bring it back on itself this way. All right, so wait a minute. Let me do it this way. Sorry. So I fold it in half on the 4 1/4. Then this 2 1/8, I fold it back on itself. All right, so 2 1/8, you're going to fold it back on itself. And then the 4 1/4, you're essentially folding it in the opposite direction. So fold it in half, and then find where your 2 1/8 is and fold it back on itself. So this makes sort of the letter Z in there, and a Z-fold card you have created. Let's go ahead and add the panels of designer series paper to this. So when I open it up, this piece is my 5 1/4 by 4. So that's what I have with this piece. Okay, so 5 1/4 by 4. That I am actually filling up the entire part right here. You could, if you prefer, do some of it in the DSP, some of it in with white. So I could do this with it. That way I can write my message and sign my name here. Whatever you do, just double check to make sure that this will be hidden whenever it's folded, so that all you see is the pretty pattern paper. Does that make sense? I'm just going to do it a little different than that. So let's go ahead and adhere this down. So like the polka dots, here is a nice fine stripe pattern on this, in this paper pack, that has all the fun colors in it too. So you always have that option. So here we go. Let's just put in that piece right there. Now I do have another piece of designer series paper, and here it is. This is also from that paper pack. Now it's 5 1/4 wide, 1 7/8 inch, I guess, tall. The length of it is 5 1/4 by 1 7/8. All right, and that I'm going to put all the way over here on this left panel here to the left of that score line, that second score line that we did. So let's get that on real quick. Just double check on this particular pattern and a couple of them in this paper pack. It's dimensional as far as the way you have things going. So just make sure that you're doing it correctly that way. Now I cut a second piece that is at 5 1/4 by 1 7/8, this time in the white. And I went ahead and I stamped my sentiment. This is the piece that's going to be where I'm going to sign my name. But I'm going to put it right here in between the two DSPs. All right, so let me go ahead and do that. And then, just so you know, you don't have to use the pattern paper to punch out all of your cute little images. The stamp set has all of those images available to you to stamp. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to do a jack-o'-lantern here. So I have a piece of white. Let me find all my stamps. So I'm going to use pumpkin pie ink, black, the tuxedo black, and I'm going to use Flirty Flamingo. So let me just move these guys out of the way for a second. I like to start with whatever's kind of like the darkest image for me, and that happens to be what I'm going to do here is with the pumpkin pie. So, and it's the outline of the pumpkin or jack-o'-lantern. All right, so there's my outline. Next, I'm going to get now the solid image. Again, I'm going to use pumpkin pie, but I'm going to do it by stamping off. So I will ink up that solid image, as you can see it. I'm going to bring in a piece of scrap paper. I am going to stamp it off, and then I'm going to come right in, hopefully not bump the camera. And because I had that dark outline, I was able to see very well. Plus the fact that it's a clear stamp, clear block, you can stamp and see right through there. Okay, I'm done with the pumpkin pie. Now, I just grabbed a, boy, I always turn things upside down, sorry, a crumb cake marker. And all I'm going to do with that is just color in real quick the stem. I could use green, but I wanted to add just a little color within that stem. Okay, so next he needs a face. All jack-o'-lanterns do. So let me go ahead. And there are so many different faces and expressions that they have in this stamp set for the various cute critters. So let me go ahead and just plop that down. It's always fun when you do these multi-steps for your stamping. It's just fun when you lift it up to look at it and be like, wow, look what I made. Now, he's cute as is. We're going to add one more thing that's going to just put this jack-o'-lantern over the top. And that is give him some rosy cheeks. So there's this little itty bitty circle stamp in there, and I'm going to bring back my scrap paper again because I'm going to ink it up in Flirty Flamingo, stamp it off, and then come in here and give him some rosy cheeks. Now it might be a little difficult to see that, but it's there. You know that it's there. Let me just bring this up. I hope I don't send it too much out of focus. But there he is with his cute little cheeks and everything. Now, if you have the punch, go ahead and punch him out. If you need to use the handle to be able to do that, that handle that I showed you earlier, we can do that. So let me see if I can fit him right in. Now, if I didn't want to cut everything else out, I could trim around him, but I'm just going to go ahead for time's sake. And there we go. There's our little jack-o'-lantern. Is he not adorable? So let me bring the card back in. And I love it because you put a smile on my face. I just don't know whether to, I think I'm going to put him up there. Whoops, maybe not quite there, but all right. So that's what I'm going to do with him. I'm going to put him right up near the top. On a bit of an angle. And whoops, don't let it get too, I almost had it going over that score line and you would have seen it whenever you fold it. So I didn't want that. Okay, so there's my insides for that. So I have plenty of room then to write my Happy Halloween and sign my name on there. Okay, let me set this off to the side for a moment and bring back in. I don't seem to have my circles. Where are they? Huh. Well, let me see. I am going to do some punching here. And now the punches I'm going to use, because it seems like I can't find my circles. I had die cut these out. The black circle is 2 1/8. I'm sorry, 2 1/8 on the black circle. The Highland Heather is 2 3/8. So what I have here in front of me is not that. This is a little. So what I'm going to use instead are some punches. The punches have been retired, but I'm going to, just because I have messed up here and forgotten I can't find my circles, I'm just going to go ahead and punch them out. So my punches are going to be a little slightly smaller. So the black is going to be 2 inches, while the Highland Heather, if I can find that, sorry about this, guys, is the Highland Heather layer is going to be, with my punch, 2 1/4. But like I said, whenever you go into the tutorial that I will post whenever I'm done here, you're going to see that the measurements are slightly different, like by 1/8 of an inch. So don't be surprised by that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and adhere these together. So there we go, problem solved, right? Who doesn't have all of their supplies ready? Anyway, you know I will find them after I'm done. So, okay, I have those two ready to go. I also have here, I just stamped the candy corn in pumpkin pie ink, just on a scrap piece of paper. And there again, I used a punch, circle die, whatever, but this measures 2 1/8, 1 1/8, while the pumpkin pie layer on the bottom is 1 1/4. So use what you have. Any shapes will do for this. Okay, now this is going to get a couple dimensionals on it. And here we go. So I want to figure out the way I want to have it. Now you will notice that I'm only putting dimensionals here. That's because when I overlap it, I don't want the dimensionals to hit onto here, onto the base, the card base that's flipped back, because then it's going to be like a little bit off, it'll kind of be a little wonky there. I just like to, whenever I'm overlapping with dimensionals onto layers of cardstock, I like to only put the dimensionals where I am going to either be over top, or if you wanted to put, let me show you here. I'm getting too wordy here, I know. If I wanted this popped up, sometimes I will just use dimensionals on the side where it doesn't overlap. So it kind of depends on what you're doing. If I was popping up this circle, which I'm not, but let's say I was, I would want to then just put the flat side, no dimensional, of the candy corn, and then that way, again, it will lay nice and flat. All right, but I'm doing the opposite of that today. So this is going to go straight down. The only thing, please make sure when you're adhering this down, you do not want to adhere your card closed. So make sure you're only putting adhesive on the portion that's going to overlap onto this left flap. All right, so I am going to do just that. All right, I know where my adhesive is, and it's going to come right here. I like to double check and look. Yep, I'm good. No adhesive showing. So that way I'm not adhering my card closed. All right, so this is straight down. You could pop it up. Then I'm going to get my candy corn, and I am going to actually pop it up over the circle here. Because I have 2 layers of cardstock, that makes it a little thicker. If I were to put a dimensional over here where it does not hit this black and purple circle, it would be a little, it would not be straight, in other words. So that's why, boy, I'm getting wordy on that, and I don't know why. I'm trying to explain myself. So let's go ahead and just put this popped up over top of the 2 circles here. All right, a couple things, a couple options. One is to just make your sentiment straight across like that. Or, as you can see on the sample card, I have them cut apart. Now, what I did here was, here's my strip. It's like, this one, it happens to be like 3/8 of an inch wide. And then I don't care about the length. So let me move this all off to the side. Let me get my sentiment. Figure out where I put my black ink. Oh, there it is. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp this. Doesn't matter where on your strip. Okay, so there, it is stamped. So now what I'm going to do is cut it apart. So I'll trim it. I will cut the words apart. So 1, 2. I mean, I could angle those and what have you. That's fine. Do it the way you want. Let me just trim this one a little bit more. And now this is going to go on a strip of Flirty Flamingo that is 1/2 inch wide. So I'm going to put each of these down. It's a little too much glue, so let me just put a little there. All right, so I will go ahead and set this down. Add a little bit more glue onto this one. I like to leave some space because now that I have these adhered down, I'm going to trim them, giving myself the equal margin around. Okay. So I've cut down the flirty flamingo. So there we go. Now I have my words separated. And I could attach those if I wanted to, which is what I did on the sample card. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to use this one just to show you there are other options then. So, all right, so here again, I just want to make sure that I get enough adhesive on to where it overlaps onto my circles here. So that means to just get your adhesive there. Angle it straight. There we go. Now it's time to sort of fill in that empty space with some stars. And we can call this card done as well. So, whoops. So 1, 2, let me get one more in there. I like my odd numbers most of the time. And 3. And there we go. There's our Z-fold cards then. So let me kind of clear off my space. So here it is, fun. You can angle these any way you want, while this one it is going straight across. All right, so whichever way you want, with our cute message on the inside then. So, okay, so let me bring the cards back that we made today. Clear it off my space. So here, and you would think that I didn't just clean my space, but yet I still can't seem to find anything. And here we go. So let me make sure I can get these all in. So here are the 4 cards that we made today. I am so happy to have you guys here with me, just in time for my cat to come in and find out why is the door closed to where my food dish is. So anyway, thank you for joining me, guys. Like I said, please post pictures of your cards, even if it's just one card that you made, maybe using the same layout, getting any sort of inspiration. You know, you can turn cards going into the opposite direction here, into the landscape, horizontal mode, as opposed to straight up and down. So yeah, like I said, go ahead, please post. I would love to see what you have created as well. So, all right. Hey, thanks again so much and for hanging with me. And I hope you have a great weekend. Bye now.